I'm Dr. Javi Goldberg, and I founded CyberSem. Last week, we began looking at the life of the Rambam from a historical perspective. We addressed the fact that the Rambam as a child, was a terrible disappointment to his illustrious father, Rabbi Maimon. What did the Rambam do when he found himself on the other side of the front door of his house? He ran and ran until he reached the outskirts of the city. Being a fantastic swimmer, he took off his robe and he went for a real good swim. Soothing waters, he went for an invigorating swim. Some time later, Moshe returned to his town, but he did not go home. He went to the shul, to the place where everyone is always welcome. So he went to the shul and he opened up the Aron Kodesh and he said, Hashem, please help me learn. Remove this obstacle that I have, that I can't learn anything. And he fell asleep. He closed the Aron Kodesh and he fell asleep on a chair. He davened and he cried and he finally fell asleep. He wanted his father to have nachas from him. Interestingly enough, he wanted his father to have nachas from him. And he wanted his mother to look down from Shamayim and feel that that the loss of her life was not for nothing. That the child that she gave birth to and lost her life during giving birth to him was not for naught, and she should have nachas in Gan Eden. Hashem did listen to his tefillos. After sleeping the night in the shul, little Moshe decided he was going to go to a place called Alasina. Alasina was the place where his father's Rebbe, his name was Rabbi Yosef Ibn Migash, had a yeshiva. And he decided that he was going to go to his father's Rebbe's yeshiva, and he was going to try his luck that he should sit and learn with him, and hopefully open his heart and his mind to Limud HaTorah. Well, he was a little 8-year-old boy, and when he got to the yeshiva, they didn't even want to let him in, but he insisted that he speak to his father's Rebbe. He really quite forced his way in, because Rabbi Yosef's students were much older than he was. He was only 8. And so once he got in front of Rabbi Yosef, he told him what his story was with his father, what happened at home in Cordova. Rabbi Yosef accepted him and taught him through the rest of Rabbi Yosef's life. Once the time of Shiva was over for Rabbi Yosef Ibn Migash, Rabbi Moshe, though still he was maybe a teenager at the time, he realized that he had to go home, that the time was right for him to return home. And so he went back to Cordova. And how did he introduce himself to his father, to his brother, to his family, to the whole community? So he went into the main shul in Cordova. He knew his way around. And he opened the doors and he went in and banged on the table and told everybody that he wanted to give a drush on the Parsha. The drasha that he gave was so amazing and so inspiring to people. They knew this person was a special child. And he went and his father recognized him and someone called out, "Oh, isn't that Naaman's son?" And so his father welcomed him warmly and he apologized for how he had spoken to him. Rabbi Maimon and Moshe and his brother David resumed their Torah learning, and they had many happy sessions of learning Torah and collaborating together until the rest of the story I'll tell you next week. A couple of questions for you to please keep in mind and to maybe talk about with your friends or share the Shabbos table. What do we think about Moshe's determination to learn Torah and become a real scholar despite his father? Do you expect Moshe to have such a good relationship to his father after what his father did and said to him? Do you see children who are perceived as a disappointment to their parents to go on or to their school to become super successful in life? Another thought point. Do we as adults, parents, leaders, educators refuse to give up on the children who don't quite fit into that box? What would the Rambam have labeled had he lived today? What would he have been labeled had he lived today? A little bit of a story and a little bit of food for thought, and we'll continue the story next week in Mir Hashem.